Okay, good morning, Hans.
Good morning.
It's really a pleasure that you accepted to be interviewed and tell us more about your work and specifically the nuclear situation in the States and elsewhere. So, first of all, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself a little bit to the Italian public.
Right. I'm Hans Christensen. I direct the Nuclear Information Project at the Federation of American Scientists in Washington, D.C. It's a very old arms control group that is still active, and so I direct the program that keeps track of nuclear weapons all around the world.
Thanks. And the second question is that we start to talk about the main topic of today, which is the Big 6112 project that you have followed in its development in the past few years. Can you tell us a bit more how you got involved, got information, and how you decided to start?
Well, the B6112 is a new bomb, nuclear gravity bomb, as they call it, that the United States is designing and will build here in a few years. It is a project that came about at the beginning of the Obama administration when they decided to extend the life, so to speak, of that kind of weapon. So they want to consolidate many different types of nuclear bombs they have today into just one type. And so that work has been going on now, and they're spending a lot of money on it. It's a very expensive program. It's about $10 billion. And it's expected to come off the production line in about 2020, plus 1 year, something like that, but around that time. And it's supposed to arm long-range bombers in the U.S. arsenals, as well as short-range fighter jets, some of which will be in Europe. So this weapon will come to Europe and also come to Italy.
Okay, so thanks. So as you just said, this project is not just a simple, it's expanding more and more from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And as you said, that this is not just, it is probably the first guided nuclear gravity bomb, and also it's a, let's say, nuclear earth penetrator with increased accuracy. What are the implications of these capabilities of this weapon in terms of?
Well, when they were first presenting this program initially, and you can still hear this from officials also here in Europe, they're saying it's not a new bomb, it's just a life extension of an existing one. And that is technically true if you only look at the warhead itself, the piece that explodes. But they have added a tail kit to this bomb so that it's more accurate. That's a new thing. There's no bomb in the U.S. arsenal right now that has such a tail kit. And that will increase the accuracy of the weapon. And the reason they want to do that is because then they can use the weapon potentially, hopefully it'll never happen, but potentially they can use the weapon to destroy a target, but because you can put the explosion closer to the target with the greater accuracy, you can choose a lower explosive yield than you would have to do today. That's attractive to a military planner because it means you can reduce the collateral damage, as they call it, the radioactive fallout and all these things. So that's an important new trend because when a weapon is less dirty to use, it becomes more usable. You're not self-deterred from using it. And that's one of the reasons they're doing this. They want specifically, they're saying that, they're describing that they want to make this weapon more accurate so that they can give the president options that are less dirty.
And what is the relationship between this new nuclear bomb and the U.S. nuclear forces modernization of the program?
Well, it's part of a very broad modernization of the entire U.S. arsenal. So they have gravity bombs now. They want to continue to have gravity bombs. They're also modernizing the long-range land-based missiles, the long-range sea-based missiles. They want to build a new air-launched cruise missile. it's very broad. And so the United States, like all the other nuclear weapon states, are modernizing their forces. But the reason it's important now is because it is, it's the first big modernization effort after the Obama administration came in. And Obama came in talking a lot about, reducing nuclear forces and moving towards the elimination of nuclear weapons and reducing the role of nuclear forces and all that stuff. So it can seem somewhat of a contrast to what the early message was when he came in. But of course, he also promised to keep a strong nuclear arsenal at the same time. So that's what they want to do. But it is happening at an important time. It's happening at a time when NATO-Russian relations are very bad. So this weapon will be seen as introducing better nuclear capabilities into Europe.
Yeah, this last point is very interesting, and it comes right into my next question, which is could the new bomb be used in a strategy to fight and win a nuclear, let's say, future nuclear war by disarming enemies with a surprise first strike?
Yeah, well, it's not a weapon that has sort of true intercontinental implications, if you could say that. I mean, to do the kind of scenarios you're talking about, you have to have very significant capabilities that can accurately hit targets anywhere. But these are bombs that are on an aircraft, and this aircraft has to fly somewhere through air defense systems and things like that. It takes some time to get to the target. So it'll not be as quick as an intercontinental ballistic missile. That's important. Nonetheless, it is going to go on a new stealth fighter bomb, the F-35, the Joint Strike Fighter. And that's an important new development because this is a fifth generation aircraft that will have significantly better capability of penetrating air defense systems without being seen. And so you add a weapon to that platform that is more accurate. You can use less yield. So overall, it is a significant facelift to the U.S. nuclear posture in Europe.
And can you confirm that, now you already just mentioned that at the beginning, that this weapon will be deployed in Europe.
Yeah.
Can you confirm, regarding now Italy specifically, can you confirm that the US nuclear bombs deployed at Gedi, the air base in northern Italy, they should be, let's say, are earmarked for delivery by Italian PA-200 Tornado fighter bombers in war?
Yeah. If they continue the situation they have now, then that's going to be the case. They already have gravity bombs at two bases in Italy, Gedi and Aviano, and the ones at Aviano are for American aircraft, and the ones at Gedi are for Italian aircraft. And so, in the future, if they continue this arrangement, you will get them at both bases. So, yes, Italy is now buying the Joint Strike Fighter. So in the future, this will be a weapon that will be delivered by the Italian F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. Now that also is important because it means that the increased accuracy of the weapon will be available to the Italian Air Force. If you continue to fly F-16s or Tornadoes, they can't use the benefits of the guided tail kit. They would use the weapon more as like a dumb bomb, so to speak. But if you have the new digital aircraft, like the F-35, like the Italian Air Force will get in the future here, then you can make use of this enhanced military capability of the weapon.
So now we come to the last question. What are the risks, the actual risk for Italy to host these nuclear bombs in this territory in the future, in scenario of war scenario?
Well, the way it works is that if you have nuclear weapons on a base, that base becomes a nuclear target. It becomes a target for adversaries. So already now, both Aviani and Gedi are very likely, almost certainly, in the Russian target plan against NATO. That will continue in the future with this weapon being deployed to Gedi and Aviani. So that's the sort of the big risk, of course, to these bases. There are also other risks that are related to operating these weapons that you have to be careful with what you do when you move them around on the base and transport them in and out. You can have accidents. I'm not talking about accidents where the weapons explode like a nuclear explosion, but I'm talking about accidents where weapons are destroyed and maybe radioactive materials can escape. But those kind of scenarios are more, far less serious, obviously, if they happened compared to the real scenario where these bases are being destroyed in a war. And there's another element to it, which is that because these weapons are forward deployed in Europe, those targets might actually become targets earlier than use of nuclear weapons against the United States directly. The reason is that in a war that escalated to nuclear use, the Russians would most likely choose to destroy important facilities in Europe before attacking the US mainland in order to sort of step up the pressure. So that's another dynamic that people have to think about.
Okay, thanks a lot, Hans. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And